Welcome to the Anxiety Slayer series. Our mission is to assist you with creating more peace and tranquility in your life through anxiety release exercises and supportive tools created to slay your anxiety. Today's Anxiety Slayer podcast is brought to you by the Anxiety Slayer Academy. We've been offering a free podcast for over 9 years now to help anyone suffering with anxiety find relief. Now we help you go deeper by providing step-by-step support on how you can get the best experience from our favorite tools and techniques for overcoming anxiety. Visit the Anxiety Slayer Academy at anxietyslayer.teachable.com for our anniversary sale, where we're offering a special 25% off all of our online courses through October 31st. All you have to do is use the discount code LEAVES at checkout, LEAVES, all lowercase. Welcome back to Anxiety Slayer. I'm Shan Vanderleek, here with my wonderful friend and co-host, Ananga Sivyer. We come together weekly from Kent and Leelanau to share Anxiety Slayer sessions with you and answer listener questions from our inbox and Facebook page. Together, we share a powerful collection of techniques to reduce anxiety. And today's episode is all about celebrating our 9th anniversary. Ananga and I have been creating, producing, and showing up for you and for us to produce Anxiety Slayer for 9 years, pretty much every week. With exception of holidays and illnesses, we have been doing our thing. And we're really excited about it. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about how we met, some of our story, the backstory, and some of our favorite offerings and albums and things, just in case you haven't been with us since the beginning. So it'll be a fun show, and I'm really grateful to be here celebrating 9 years. Welcome back, Ananga.
Hey, Shan.
So happy anniversary.
You too. Thank you.
What a trip. Who would have thought that 9 years later, we'd still be producing the Anxiety Slayer podcast?
Yeah, as you were talking, I was remembering sitting in my office, clicking the publish button on the first ever episode and how nervous I was to do that. I was really, here we go. I don't know about this, but.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've sure come a long way since our first episode was released. And I've been thinking a lot about how we came together. And, we were blogging at the time. Both of us were doing a lot of writing and coaching and in our own parts of the world. And my friend Jonathan Meade is the person who gets credit for introducing me to you. But you actually found me at the same time that he was making me aware of you. You found me and some of my writing and thankfully reached out.
Yeah.
I remember Jonathan telling me that we had a lot in common and would get along famously. And then we met for a phone call not too long after that and had so much in common. And I think, didn't you reach out initially to put together a program for people suffering with anxiety? I mean, this didn't start out as a podcast conversation.
No, it didn't. As you said, we were both writing on our own blogs and doing our own coaching work. I was writing on Living by Design and enjoying my work there, but I was looking for a collaboration. As you know, Shan, my thing has always been helping people with anxiety and presenting EFT tapping with workshops and coaching people one-to-one to help them through anxiety. And I was looking to work with somebody else. I was looking for a collaboration. So I had this idea to create something called the Anxiety Rescue Kit. And I was looking to partner up with somebody to do that and present it to as many people as we could that were suffering with anxiety. And I actually reached out to 4 people, one in the UK. The other 2, I don't remember right now who they were, but they were people I was blogging around and in contact with at the time. And you were the other person. And I remember looking at your picture on your blog and thinking, wow, she's really cool. And I was reading your writing and following some of your work too. And you were the person I least expected to respond because you looked very busy and engaged in what you were doing. So you kindly responded and arranged to meet on Skype with me. And we had a conversation and it seems like so long ago now. We had a conversation and got on really well and met again. And then we started deciding how we could support others. But no, it wasn't originally going to be a podcast.
Yeah. Isn't that something? And then how our friendship has developed over the years. And I'm not sure if our listeners are aware or not, but we've never been in the same room together. Ananga and I are, I'm in the U.S., she's in the U.K., and we haven't been in a position to travel to see one another yet. That will change soon, because I plan to go overseas soon, and I know my daughter wants to come with me, so we'll work something out. But we have built this incredible business, but even more important than that, in my opinion, is our friendship. And so I love you very much, Ananga.
I love you too, and I think it's been so interesting for me that the power of listening, and in a world where everyone's so distracted in relationships and people are often relating to each other, they may be in the same room, but they're looking at a screen, a movie, their phone, something. But for me, our friendship has really grown through the power of listening and open-hearted communication. Our relationship is purely each other's voices to each other's ears and hearts.
Right.
And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I do too.
To be so closely connected with somebody that you're speaking with and hearing. And there's something, although initially we were working over Skype, now we're working over Zoom. But, I'm sitting here right now in Kent, you're in Michigan, and we're having this conversation so clearly together. We can't even see each other's faces, pictures of each other. It's just voice to ear. So although that's facilitated by technology, I think there's something so ancient about it as well, that just really hearing and no distractions, just hearing each other and, working together and sharing together. And we always have a fantastic conversation before we begin recording each week's episode.
Today we talked for so long, I wasn't sure we were going to even have time to record the episode. There was so much to talk about.
That has happened, and then we have to reschedule, right?
Yeah.
So grateful for the friendship that has grown between us with this work that we're doing, and grateful for the work too. I had no idea when we first connected that Anxiety Slayer would grow as it has and reach so many people. And I think also the credit for the Anxiety Slayer name goes to you. So I think it'd be good to explain the backstory behind that.
Yes. I have been a fan of Joss Whedon for a very long time now. And Joss Whedon is the creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, amongst many other projects that he's been involved with. And I became aware of Buffy much later than I think that Buffy originally came out in the late 90s. I didn't start watching it until I think it was around 2004 or 2005, became a huge fan. And when you and I started talking about the potential of creating a podcast, it just occurred to me that using Slayer in our name made so much sense, because we had uncovered that our main purpose was to help create as much content, as many resources, as much as we possibly could to help people who were suffering, but then to also help them slay their own anxiety, which, if you're a Buffy fan, you know that as season 7 wraps up, there's no longer one Slayer, but there are many. So is my true inner geek showing. But it has served us well. It's a great name. It still resonates, and it's very memorable. And so I'm grateful. Over the years, our branding has changed. We've lightened things up a bit. We were a little bit dark in the beginning. We
were, yeah, and we had that font called Buffy.
Yes, it was hard for me to let go of that. I'll be honest with you, but I'm over it now. But yeah, so we've just grown and come so far with our podcasts and podcast interviews. We created albums. Do we have 10 albums? We have a large number of albums, online courses that led to creating the Anxiety Slayer Academy, which gave us a nudge to create a private Facebook group. And we've just really allowed ourselves to evolve organically. So from that initial, yes, this is it, Anxiety Slayer, that's one of the things that I enjoy most about our partnership, is that we've really let it unfold very naturally. I remember when we had our first 1 million downloads, it didn't even occur to us to even be tracking our number of downloads. Like we weren't paying attention to it. And all of a sudden it was just like, oh, well, look at that.
Yeah.
And here we are with over 5 million downloads and hundreds of podcasts, and we keep showing up and we're enjoying ourselves, and such a pleasure to support our listeners and to listen to what it is you need so that we can address it and talk about it. And we just had an episode that was, I think, one of our favorites now. We had somebody write in and need help for friends and loved ones to have a better understanding of anxiety. And we had that conversation just, I think, the last episode.
Yeah.
And that went over really well. So we like to listen. We like to hear what it is you need, and we like to be able to support you in that way, but also to share the things that we know work well. Such a pleasure to be here today, to be in partnership with you, to be offering everything at the Academy for 25% off, and something we're happy to do through the end of October. So if you have been thinking about any of our courses, absolutely head on over to anxietyslayer.teachable.com and you can get 25% off everything available. All you have to do so is to use the coupon code LEAVES, LEAVES, all lowercase, and you will be able to take advantage of that special offering.
Yeah, our autumn offering, Leaves.
Aren't we creative?
We're so creative. We had a sale in the spring and I used the coupon code FLOWERS. So, yeah. But if ever there was a time when we need more support with anxiety, it's the autumn season. And I think for me, we were talking just before we started recording about our favorite episodes. And I was thinking back and thinking, for me, it's the episodes where we either address something that's particularly painful, particularly challenging for anxiety sufferers, and we hope to give some hope and some help with that. They're my favorites. And also the wacky topics like, is it at all possible that eating salad could make my anxiety worse?
Right.
Because, with anxiety, we're always worried that we're losing our minds, and it's like, even salad makes me feel worse. But then bringing in the Ayurvedic teachings, Ayurveda being India's ancient science of life. For our regular listeners, you always know we love to talk about Ayurveda. But in Ayurveda is the teaching that, yes, salad can make your anxiety worse, and explaining why, about the properties in salad and raw foods and raw cold seasons and how that can elevate anxiety. And for me, they're my real favorite episodes, because sometimes with anxiety, you just don't know what's going on and what to do. And I think that Ayurveda offers such insight and compassion. And usually when those shows go out, we get some really nice communications from people that feel that makes sense and they have something they can do to find relief, and they just feel less alone and less confused.
And I'm sure that there are a large number of our listeners who it would never have occurred to them to warm up some almond milk and have a touch of nutmeg to help them fall asleep and stay asleep. Things like that, because sleep is a real issue as well.
Yeah.
So when I think about some of my favorite episodes, I think about the ones that help people get a good night's rest, help people deal with health anxiety. Disassociation is a big one.
Yeah.
And just so many episodes. And we're going to be repurposing some of them because the platforms only allow you to carry up to, I think it's 200 now. And they even want you to carry less than that. But
on iTunes.
On iTunes, right.
Yeah.
Right. But we still have so many more episodes available. And then, we kind of morphed into some interviews as well along the way. And where I interview somebody about every month, not necessarily every single month, but I try to stick to monthly if possible. And some of the memorable interviews that I can think of are with Leonie Dawson or Deborah Riebel recently, Dr. Carolyn Dean and Kute Blackson, all of these people that are doing so much to support others in the world through their coaching and teaching. And in Leonie's case, we were talking about essential oils. And if you remember, she had just gotten involved and was realizing how helpful they could be. And in Leonie fashion, does everything, full speed ahead. So that was really fun. And then Dr. Dean teaching us more about magnesium and how we can really help ourselves when we're suffering by increasing magnesium. And then our albums, I'm so grateful that we have an entire library of music. And thank you, Ananga, for your brilliance in arranging them and taking care of all of the music and supporting my voice. What are some of your favorite albums that we've created?
One of my real favorites was the second one we made, which hasn't really gone out there into the world so much. It's called Emotional Peace. I think the albums that have reached more people are the ones that have anxiety or anxiety relief in the title, because that's just the way things work on the internet. But Emotional Peace has a beautiful picture of a red rose on the cover. And I think it offers real comfort. And the tagline for the album was support for when you're going through difficult or challenging times, something like that. It's a long while ago now, but I think that album for me really offers solace. And that was the idea, that if you're really raw and suffering, that we tried really carefully to put this relaxing music and voice work together to really help people just switch off their suffering and put their earphones on and go to a different place. So I've got a real soft spot for that one. I also really like Breathe. Breathe really fits tight to the idea that you can listen to these guided practices and help yourself feel more calm and in control of anxiety. And that's very difficult to do when you're feeling anxious. So to be able to listen and follow along. So for me, that's a practical favorite. And for the music, I love Oasis. I had such fun making Oasis. You scripted and recorded, Shan, a guided practice for that. And that's one of my favorite pieces of music that I've created for us. It's got these kind of strings locking down the bass to make it really rooted and grounded. And I have, to my left here as I'm talking, my little collection of Tibetan bowls, peace bowls. And I remember picking one of those up and holding it under the microphone and scraping around the edge of that and creating all these earthy, echoey sounds for that. I've also really enjoyed the flute work I've done on some of our Breathe and Peace, also trying to create these fluid flute lines that really help carry people into a state of relaxation. I don't know if our listeners are aware, we've never really spoken about it, but when you and I first met up and started working together, at the time that was my work, was creating music for hypnotherapy albums. So that came over into our work together very naturally.
And which is so interesting, because at the time, and for a long time, I had been doing voice work, and neither of us knew this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like how the whole relationship came together, with the beautiful way things do when you're meant to meet. And then to find out at the time, I had just finished my yoga teacher training program and had a lot of content to share around that. And it had been a couple, 3 years that I had transitioned from my corporate job, and just all these things, all these synchronicities. And speaking of transitioning, one of my favorite albums is Transition to Calm. It was certainly the album I needed the most in the beginning of, I wish I would have had it when I was transitioning from my old world to this new one. A great listen to unwind after a really stressful and busy day. So depending on what you do for a living and where you're at, it's just a wonderful break, a mini break for after work.
And that was the inspiration for the title, Transition to Calm, wasn't it? It was
Yes.
people that were coming home from intense work and stressful situations during their day to be able to just put something on that just lasted a few minutes and transition over to a more peaceful and relaxed state, and then be able to go on with their evening with their friends and loved ones. That was inspired by a policeman that I saw an interview with, who was doing particularly stressful work and have to come home to his, at the time, 7-year-old daughter and try and switch out. And he was listening to guided relaxations. And I was really inspired by him doing such an intense job.
Yeah.
Such a heavy load to carry home. And that somebody so brave and dealing with such intense day-to-day situations was laying down and listening to a guided relaxation to be able to transition over. And I thought, yeah, that's something we could offer. And I think that album is deeply supportive. It's still a real favorite of mine too. That was our first album.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I think that cover art was a picture I took on Good Harbor Bay.
Yeah.
If you don't know this already about us, we love to bring in as much beauty and sweetness to everything that we do, from the covers to the conversations to how we can show up for you. And so this really is a special occasion for us as we celebrate this anniversary and continue to move forward and bring you even more goodness in 2019. We've created a number of courses that you can find more information about it at the Academy at Anxiety Slayer. www.teachable.com. We've also created a private Facebook group. So if you search for us on Facebook for Anxiety Slayer, you'll find that group and you can request to join us in a very private space. And of course, today we are offering a special anniversary sale on all of our courses where you can get 25% off. And all you have to do is use the coupon code LEAVES, all lowercase, to do so. Ananga, thank you so much for 9 years of partnership and friendship. I am incredibly grateful to be a part of your life and world and to continue to show up and do what we do for this podcast and our courses and albums and teachings and everything else.
Thank you, Shan, and thanks so much to our listeners. Some of you have been with us since the beginning, and that's amazing. Some of us are now friends on social media and we get to share our lives with each other. Another blessing I hadn't anticipated in this work. So thank you. Thanks to new listeners who've been with us for a while. Thanks so much to those who are supporting us on Patreon, really helping us keep the podcast going. That's very much appreciated. And thanks for listening in. I'm looking forward to next year, very much, our 10th year together.
Me too.
Ananga and I are celebrating 9 years of producing our free Anxiety Slayer podcast with an autumn anniversary sale. For a limited time, save 25% on all of our online courses at the Anxiety Slayer Academy. Visit anxietyslayer.teachable.com. Take a look at the different offerings, and then when you're ready to check out, simply use the coupon code LEAVES, and you'll receive the special 25% discount.